let's get it out of the way. I don't hate this figure. Now, of course, the figure I am talking about is Rise of the Beasts, the mainline deluxe class Wheeljack. Now, I don't hate this figure. I don't even dislike this figure. There are just certain things, most of which are widely known, that I do not like. Before we get into that, though, let's get some of the positives out of the way. This is a pretty nice looking vehicle mode. It does use a lot of translucent plastic. Basically, this entire section wrapping around here is translucent plastic. However, none of it is bearing a ton of stress. So I'm not too worried about it. However, time will tell how strong that stuff actually is. I do like the shade of brown they have chosen. It's very nice. It's even got some metallic, maybe some metallic flake in it. I'm not sure. It's very shiny and it does swirl a bit. The back is painted very well and the front is also painted very well. So yeah, most of my issues don't pertain to this mode. The thing about this though is that, in my opinion, and we're getting into speculation here, I think this was originally supposed to be Ratchet. Now, I understand it's not the same color scheme or anything like that. It's white and brown. But hear me out. I think this was originally supposed to be Ratchet. One, because he becomes a van, which is much closer to what Ratchet turns into than what Wheeljack turns into. But also, just the overall aesthetic of the figure, how big and bulky he is in robot mode, like how barrel-chested he is, it fits more with Ratchet than it does with Wheeljack. So I could be totally wrong. This could have absolutely always been Wheeljack, and then they just decided to go with it. But it just feels closer to what Ratchet was supposed to be than Wheeljack. But without any other things to really talk about, let's go ahead and get to some size comparisons. Here he is next to Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. And Bumblebee movie Wheeljack has just the slightest, well, about half an inch of length on this Wheeljack here. Sorry, I had him mistransformed there. However, he's got him in height, but he's also wider, so get him out of the way. Here he is next to Studio Series Bumblebee movie Ratchet. I almost called him Rampage. That is a completely different character. I keep doing that recently. And yeah, this is much closer in scale than Wheeljack was to his Bumblebee movie counterpart. And just because he's also Wheeljack, the Generations Deluxe class Wheeljack. Oh boy, how the Deluxe class has changed. This guy dwarfs most modern day Deluxe classes. So, with all that out of the way, let's look at his accessory. He just comes with the one, just his little blaster here. It's got a pretty funky shape to it, but I do like it. He has two 5mm ports on the back. You can have it pointing the front, like so, or you can have it pointing the back. I personally never put it in here just because this sticks down far enough that I'm afraid if I stick it in the front and start moving it around, it's going to scratch up the paint. So, get that out of the way. And without further ado, let's get down to transformation and see where, let's face it, a lot of the problems arise. So, for transformation, first thing you want to do, come to the bottom and just pull this little piece down. That's going to free up the arms, which you just take this little panel here, pull down on. Then what you want to do is grab the whole back section here and just kind of pull back on it, and that will free up the legs. Go ahead and fold the feet down. You want to fold them back just a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and separate this whole section here. Tabs in a lot of places, so next take these sections, rotate them around, and then fold down here, just basically straightening the legs out. Take these little brown pieces and fold them back, and then there is a tab connection here and a slot just inside the leg. Push it down and push it in. It doesn't really tab in so much as it's just so you know that's where it goes. But there you have basically the lower body done. Next, what you want to do is come to the doors here, pull out, be very careful because it is clear plastic. You rotate them up, and that will allow you to pull out the arms, which are on an accordion system, and then fold the white pieces here forward so that they basically sit like this. Now what you can do is accordion the torso up and pull down on the, well, go ahead and have his head angled up, otherwise you're going to be scratching a lot of paint off. Have his head angled up and then pull down on the front end of the vehicle mode. And this will help make sure the shoulders are pulled out as far back as they will go as well. You can just have them like this, just where the panels are flat, still like they are in vehicle mode, but the instructions have you pull up on these two side panels here, then take this section, push it up, and push these down. There's a little tab on each one that will go into a little notch. It doesn't hold anything together, it's just kind of so it doesn't wiggle around in robot mode. Next, just fold the head down and then take this little back section here, it is on a slider, and just push it down. And there you have Wheeljack in his robot mode. Now, let's get the big thing out of the way real quick. That head sculpt. I do not hate the base head sculpt on this figure. I hate the glasses. If they had gotten rid of the glasses, this head sculpt would have been fine. Totally passable. Still would not have read as Wheeljack per se, but it wouldn't have been quite as like in your face that, hey, this is the nerdy guy. This is the scientist of the group. I also don't like that they gave him overalls. There's just something about Transformers having clothing that bothers me. Armor is one thing. Clothing is a completely different name altogether. Like when they do that, the Stratosphere design where they gave him the aviator helmet, I don't like that either. But like armor, like Ultra Magnus having armor, that's totally passable, but I just don't like clothing. So yeah, the glasses are the only thing that just kills the head for me. Everything from the neck down, totally fine. Nothing wrong with it outside of obviously the aforementioned I already called what they're called, overalls. But let's go ahead. We've gotten the things that I don't like out of the way. Let's look at the things I do like. I do like the amount of color that has come through. It is still mostly just white and brown, but those are the way they're used actually makes sense and is very well. One thing that I do nitpick, they've only painted the front of the hand and the rest of the hand is still brown. I don't know why they did that. Maybe it was to save on paint budget, but who knows? It's Hasbro. I also do like the design from the neck down. I do think this is a good Transformers design. I just don't like the head. Like, that's the main thing. If they had just gotten rid of the glasses, this would have been a perfectly passable figure. But those glasses kill pretty much everything about this for me. Getting into, I almost said transformation again, articulation. Head is on a very tight ball joint. Like, I am so scared I'm going to break something every time I go to use him. He can look up a little bit. He can look down about the same. Not quite enough room to get a full 360, but he can look pretty far left and right. You do get a full 360 at the shoulder. It is also on a ball joint. You can get a little bit of a butterfly joint due to the transformation, but not a lot. You do get a bicep swivel, and you do get 90 degrees at the elbow. Nothing at the wrist. No, you do get a waist rotation. He can kick that far out, basically just straight out. Can kick that far back, and moving everything out of the way, he kicks out that far. So, and then you do get a thigh rotation. It is limited due to the molding of this wheel here. You do get 90 degrees at the knee. And then the ankles are on a, I think this is a universal joint where it's pinned. It's a pinned hinge on one part, but a ball joint on the other. I could be totally wrong about that, but you do get really good. Well, you get some ankle pivot due to the way they're molded, but you get really good points, and it can go up just a little bit of a toe flex, which you don't see all that often. And of course, you can adjust the wings however you want. So yeah, if the head matched Wheeljack a little bit more, or even if it was just not, it just didn't have glasses on it, this would be perfectly fine. In fact, I think this would probably be one of my favorite deluxe class figures ever, because the transformation's really fun. He's well articulated, nothing too bad about him, but it's the fact that it's Wheeljack, the fact that the head just looks as bad as it does. And it's not even like you could move the glasses up. They're molded on there. That is a solid piece up there. But I don't want people thinking I hate the figure. I don't like the head. Let's go ahead and get down to size comparisons. So, and this is where you'll probably see why I think he was originally meant to be Ratchet. So we'll move him off to the side a little bit here, and let's get Ratchet in here. You see what I mean? How bulky Wheeljack has become? Part of it, yes, is due to the vehicle mode, but like this matches so much better than I think the Bumblebee movie Wheeljack does. As a matter of fact, let's get all three in the scene here. So we'll get those two there, and we'll get Wheeljack here. So like, do you see what I mean? Like, this does not look like it turns into this. This looks like it could become this. This does not. So that is why I think this was originally meant to be Ratchet. But again, that's pure speculation. As you can see, he's taller than Bumblebee movie Wheeljack. He's right on par with Bumblebee movie Ratchet. And we'll get these two out of the way. And we will bring in Generations Wheeljack, who he's actually a little bit taller than now. Like, not much, but about a head, about a head taller than Generations Wheeljack. So in vehicle mode, this guy is way bigger, and this guy's way wider in robot mode, but he can still hold his weapon here. You just take it, put it in his hand. It is a very tight 5mm port, and there you have him, all armed up and ready to go. So yeah, I do like him as a figure overall. I just wish the head was different. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that, but it's just, the glasses are so overdoing it and just not good. It reminds me of when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, like the 2014 movie, was coming out, and they wanted to make sure everyone knew Donatello was the nerdy one of the group, so they gave him a bunch of just technology strapped to him and gave him glasses that are like taped in the middle and everything. It'd be one thing if like he looked like Wheeljack and just had a nerdy personality. It's another thing to have him have a nerdy personality and give him stereotypical things that a nerd would have. So But with all that ranting out of the way, that has been my review of the Transformers Rise of the Beast Deluxe Class Wheeljack, and I will see you guys some other time.